Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first session of the Research Cafe. And I'm your host, Dr. Sadi Abdullah here. I welcome you all to this live streaming platform. So, that's really interesting. The title of today's program is a PhD right for me? So, basically, this is my situation because I just completed my master's and I'm wondering, should I do a PhD? And if I want to do a PhD, what should be my approach? And I guess there are a lot of people here wondering the same questions and looking for answers. And to give you that answers, we are arranging this stream, and we have a huge panel, like a very experienced panel amongst us to help you finding the answers. So before digging into the main discussion, I'd like to say a few words about the Research Cafe. So Research Cafe is totally a non-profitable project of research admission platform. So here in the platform, we bring the students who are keen to learn about the research techniques with mentors who are already experienced, and they will help you to learn the key aspects of the research projects and how to do a research. So that is our whole purpose of the whole stream and whole Research Cafe. And it's very interesting why we're saying it Research Cafe, because we are talking in informal settings and an informal communication. So we can discuss about the key aspects of the research, and we can make friends, and so we can discuss in like a comfortable and friendly manner. So without any further ado, I would like to go straight into the today's topic, and I would like to introduce our main speakers. First of all, I would like to welcome our first speakers, Dr. Tanvir Ahmed. So Tanvir did his PhD from University of Sussex. Hello, Tanvir. So he's currently is a research fellow in University of Birmingham. So Tanvir will be talking about the research aspects. And secondly, I would like to welcome Dr. Nusrat Khan, who did her PhD from University of Cambridge and currently a research associate in the University of Newcastle. And lastly, our sweet speaker, Dr. Shaila Haq, who did her PhD from University of Sheffield and now working as a assistant professor, University of Borishal, Bangladesh. So I welcome you all to our first episode of Research Cafe, and thank you for joining us. And without further ado, I will go straight into our first speaker, Dr. Nusrat Khan. Before going into her, I will just ask her what was her background before starting the PhD, and why did she choose the PhD, and how was her journey to the PhD. Dr. Nusrat Khan, if you speak a few words about that. Thank you.
Hi, Sadi. Thanks a lot for inviting us to the platform. I'm Dr. Nusrat Khan, going a bit on the background first. So, I'm a medical doctor by profession. I did my medical graduation from Dhaka Medical College, Bangladesh. That was around 2012. And I was always focused on building a career on public health. So, for about 5 years, I worked in different organizations, Bangladesh, 𝐸𝐴𝐴 School of Public Health, USAID, and different kind of program-based research and also academic research in parallel. And as I was always keen to build a career in research, academic research, I would emphasize in the word. So PhD was definitely a important part of it. So, but to go to that, I needed to do masters. My first masters was a MPH, and
Mhm.
my second master's was a master's in global health. That was from UCL UK, and those really shaped up my uh, capacities, I would say, to prepare me to apply for PhDs, to learn the necessary skills. I'm more into quantitative research, more on data. So these are the degrees and experiences that prepared me for the PhD. And after that, I got a full funded admission to University of Cambridge in Department of Public Health and Primary Care. I worked in a large scale cohort study based in different global countries. And during my PhD, I started working as well as a research fellow. And right now, after the PhD, I'm working as a research associate in Newcastle University, UK. And my work from the very beginning has been focused on NCD research in aging population. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what I get from your points are actually you did your master's, then you slowly and gradually moved your way to the PhD. So do you think it's important to keep in mind that I should do a master's and gradually build up the skills, then I should do the PhD, or I can just straight go into PhD for whatever reasons I had. Like, what do you suggest, like from your personal experience?
From my personal perspective and the subject area I work in, it was very important for me to learn the skills and also
Mhm.
get some experience in that kind of research. So, just embarking on an academic journey right from PhD was really not my career track, and that really doesn't help. I think the skills acquired with my work experience and from my masters were very, very important to get even an admission to for PhD.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just a last question for you from this segment. So, how long was your journey since starting from your PhD until like finishing of PhD? So, and getting a job. Like, what was the time schedule?
So my PhD was about 4 year, 2, 3 months, but it was
Mhm.
also during the pandemic. It got delayed in 1 year.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
was extremely lucky. I got employed in a good position when I was even in my third year of my PhD. So I was doing
Oh.
both parallelly. And of
Okay.
course, after finishing PhD, I switched jobs. And so for me, finding a job was until now not very difficult.
Oh, so yeah, so it's very nice to see some encouraging words that you don't have to like wait so long. Like normally people say they have to wait and there's like uncertainty. So in your case, I'd like to congratulate you and very happy to hear from that you. So we'll come back to you a bit later. So in this segment, I'll go to our second speaker, that is Dr. Shala Hawk, and like I said, she just did her PhD from University of Sheffield just recently. So Dr. Sherlock, if you could walk us through your experience, why did you do a PhD and what was your background immediately before the PhD? That would be really helpful. Dr. Sherlock, please.
Thank you, Saudi, and thank you for inviting me in this platform. So, I graduated from University of Dhaka in Bangladesh from the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. So initially, I could say that I was a biochemist, and then, because my focus was to get to the academic line, to being in the teaching profession. I was have done the teaching profession in different private universities, and then got into this public university in Bangladesh, like the University of Boishal. And eventually, I got my PhD in 2019 from University of Sheffield in neuroscience, and I completed my PhD from neuroscience department in from University of Sheffield, and it took me like 4 years for the research work, and then 7 months along with it to for the writing and the PhD viva, and got awarded from it. And I have recently completed my PhD in 2023, as you said. So that was the journey of mine, and I was previously, as I told, that I was here as a lecturer in Bangladesh in Boishal University, and currently after coming back after getting my PhD, I have joined as got promoted as an assistant professor in the same department of biochemistry and biotechnology.
That's really great. So I'm just asking one thing that when you're like teaching in the private university or public universities, did it come to you that if I do a PhD, I'll get ahead of my career, or someone just told you you should do a PhD to get ahead of your career? Like, what were you thinking? Why did you actually choose the PhD? Like, what is your plan?
Um, so generally, with only a master's degree, you don't actually cannot do because my subject is biochemistry and molecular biology. It's a research-based subject. So if you
Mhm.
want to do more research in this field, you need like more knowledge and like more research experience in this field. That was the main or major leading part for me to do a PhD. That okay, I need a PhD, and as well as for relatively comparatively you get there are some other issues like the funding issues and research proposal. You get trained by doing a PhD and other things. It helps, actually really helps. And so those are the uh, variables that actually push me to do a PhD.
Mhm. So just last bit of question. So like you said, you are looking for a PhD. So how long did it take for you to actually start looking for a PhD and actually acquire one? So what was the time frame of that?
So because it was I choose a very strategic way. Like I
Mm-hmm.
talk to my seniors and my teachers, they helped me. And um, surprisingly it took me, like I started to look for my PhD in 2018, around like, probably June. And I got
Hmm.
like the confirmation and everything by the end of September. So it was like,
Oh,
not very, if you go in a very strategic way,
yeah,
and look
yeah,
for the PhD in a right way, like,
yeah, yeah.
the ranking at the university, choosing the right university, I think it's quite, like, not that
Oh,
tiresome for you.
wow. Yeah,
That's my.
that's really thank you, Dr. Shala. That's really important because I think, like you said, the strategy and timing is really important to get as soon as you can. So thank you for that. We'll come back to you a bit later. So lastly, I'll move to our favorite Dr. Tanvir Ahmed. So he did his PhD from University of Sussex, and he's a research fellow in University of Birmingham. So my question to Tanvir is almost the same. So if you could please walk us through your journey and a little bit of background just before the PhD, so we all can have an idea like what were you doing and why did you move into this. So, Dr. Tanvir, please.
Thank you very much, Study. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, yeah, it's
It was
perfect.
brilliant. Thank you very much, Study. I mean, it's really nice to see you again, and I'm grateful for considering me to be part of this distinguished panel. Uh, my PhD was a bit different. I mean, the experience than what Nusrat and Shaila said, because I have been working in public health research for before I started doing my PhD. So what happened? As like Nusrat, I too graduated as a medical doctor. And then I did my master's in public health in Bangladesh. And then I started working as a researcher in one of the very popular research organization, which is based in Bangladesh. And over the time, what I kind of realized that I am not really good in research because I don't have all the bells and whistles. So I did have some understanding of statistics, epidemiology, but I really lacked in understanding of social sciences, which eventually led me to do a PhD not in public health, but in development studies. So I decided to do my PhD in development studies because I was mostly involved doing health system research, health and technology research when I was in Bangladesh. So that's how I got into my PhD in Sussex in 2014, which I finished like Nusrat. I was also in the middle of this, COVID crisis. So I eventually finished in 2019, I think, and got my award in 2020. And since then, I have worked for the University of Sheffield as a research associate. And later, I went back to Bangladesh, worked in one of the Bangladeshi organization, working on clinical platforms, and then came back to the UK market again. And right now, I'm a research fellow at the University of Birmingham. And the meantime, during my PhD as well as after PhD, I've been part of some international consultancies as well. So yeah, to cut it short, I'll say the decision for going for a PhD for me was mostly yeah. So decision for me to go for PhD was mostly led from my professional background and eventually pushed me for a PhD.
Thank you, Dr. Tanvir. So I'm just curious because you said you're interested in development of the health system and health structure. So do you think people should start looking for their own passion, or they should look for like more demanding PhD? So, or should make a balance of both? So what do you suggest?
Uh, Very interesting question, Sadi. I mean, I think my question, a part of your audience will welcome my answer, and part of your audience will be very much discouraged. The reason I'm saying this, PhD for me, I'm not sure whether it was same for Nusrat or Shaila, but for PhD, I found it extremely liberating, not at all easy, and very, very difficult. So I think because this is all about PhD, you do your heart out I think it is very important that you are passionate about your subject. If you are thinking of, all right, I'm just willy nilly, I'll do a PhD, it's not going to happen. So unless you love that subject, your topic, unless you find it in your heart, I think it's not a very good idea to go for a PhD.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanvir. I mean, I think it will be really helpful and enlightening because sometimes we make like decisions that like based on some like rational emotion. So I think it will be really helpful. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you a bit later. So now we are almost at the end of our session because it's almost like 50. So I'll go and start the question answer session, and for that I'll again go back to Dr. Nusrat Khan. So Dr. Nusrat, I'd like to ask you first question. So you have two questions for you, and I would like you to give as short and brief as you can because we are in time constraint. So first question is, normally people say researchers are not well paid. Is that true? And the second question is PhD demanding nowadays in terms of the academic and everything considered? So yeah, that's
Okay.
the two questions.
Thank you, Sadi. None of them really have a very straightforward answer. So, first of all, about the payment issues, it really, I'm talking about again from my experience, it depends on what exactly what you want to do. It depends on which country you want to build your career on and which career track. So, for example, I can talk about UK. Uh, there are many tracks, so if you want to go for academic research, that is quite low paid, I can tell you that. But again, if you come with a lot of experience, prior work experience like Tanvir Bhai and some little for me, there is a big window to negotiate salaries. But there is other two options, very important. People many times don't really go for those, are industry, which is pharmaceuticals and consultancy firms. They do offer many times triple the salaries of academia. So, as Tanvir Bhai said, it's really about your passion. If you want to pursue a particular research on a research topic, academia is the option. If you want to earn a lot of money in different research topics, you can go for consultancies and industry. And the second question
Yeah,
is if PhD is on demand.
demand. Yeah.
Again, there is no straightforward questions to it. It is what you want to do for your career. For example, I consider myself an epidemiologist. In the UK, with a master's degree, you can find very good jobs in pharmaceutical industry as an epidemiologist. There are multiple startups. You really don't need to have a PhD most cases for that. But again, if you want to build a career in academia, if you want to teach, or if you want to pursue your own research career, research interest, a PhD in most cases is a must. You can't go into that track without the PhD degree.
Thank you, Dr. Nusrat Khan. So I will go to Dr. Shala now. So, Dr. Shala, the questions for you. The first question is PhD useful only for academic sectors? And the second question is, what are the skills required to apply for a PhD? So, if you can give us your answers, please.
Okay, Saudi, thank you. So probably I will start with the second question probably first because it's like more easier for me to answer. The second one, the what are the skills required to apply for a PhD? So definitely there are like some basic skills you need, like an academic background, a related master's degree you need for the pursuing the PhD one, and the research experience will help you to get the PhD. Like it will be easier if the your supervisor thinks that you have some research experience, then you have the basic or a general very easier communication with them. And another thing, a clear research interest. Like it's about the passion that Tanvi Bhai said and Nusrat Apu said, that if you're interested, then you have to have a clear ideas. And this is why that a lot of people do a second masters for that one, because I have done my masters in biochemistry and molecular biology. Now I think that if I have done my PhD in neuroscience, if I had the chance to do an masters in neuroscience, it will be more easier for me to get through that one as well. Like it's my opinion. So it's also that Another part is as strong or like the writing skills, how you communicate with your supervisor, and how you do that. It's also important in that way. And communicating skill as well, that if you can, like, communicate with the supervisor or the other probably this PhD students who are already there, or whatever they're doing in that field, so then you have to communicate with them, and then you will know, okay, so these students are doing this work, and so I can pursue my PhD in this laboratory or not. Some of the other skills I should like include, like the self motivation, I would say. Otherwise, as Tanvi said earlier, that is very, very difficult job. So if you're not self motivated, and if you're not self like, very determined that, okay, I will need to do this PhD, I would love to do this PhD, and I will see the finish line, it will be very, very difficult for you. So like, I think these are the some of the things, and you have to do like the interview skill you need to do, which we gradually build up, because you have to go through those examination for a PhD to get the PhD, and also aware about the funding that what they are offering you. If you're an international student or home student, if it's like, you have to be available or sufficient, the funding is sufficient for you or not. So those are the, like, some other particular thing you need to consider, to think that, okay, if like, the skills that we need to do for applying for a PhD. And the another question you had, that if is a PhD useful only for the academic sector? I think already Nusrat Apu like said some of the scopes, that not only in academic line but in the industries, and in the other field, like the in government and policy maker, they also need that PhD holders get their priorities there, and they have been offered, like, how the job with the higher salaries. So definitely no, not in only in the academic line, but also in the industrial, government and policy making, in consulting and science and technology. There are different several fields. You can find the students only doing the masters to get into this job, but definitely a PhD will give you like advantage in those fields, I would say. Definitely.
Thank you, Dr. Shaila, for your elaborative answers. So I'll go straight to our last speakers and last two questions to Dr. Tanvir Ahmed. So, Dr. Tanvir, the first question for you will be, when do you know you're ready for a PhD? That sounds like a philosophical questions, but yeah, that is the like one of the most asked questions in our surveys. And the second questions are, what were the main challenges that you faced during your own PhD? So we'd like to know about your challenges so people can have an idea. Yeah, it differs from person to person, but just as a discussion here. So thank you.
Thank you, Sadi. I mean, I'll pick start with the philosophical one. I mean, I'm afraid there is no way to really know whether you are ready for your PhD or not. It's like all of the other panel members shared, and myself too. It's all about the passion. I mean, when you really think that, well, I'm stuck here, and probably the next stage knowledge is about going into PhD. That's probably one of the way you understand that probably I need the PhD, and that can be the research that you are doing, or the career where you feel at certain point that you are stuck because you don't have a PhD. Or maybe like for a fresher, maybe it's like, well, I really want to go about finishing all the academic training, and so I've just did my master's through with it, and now it's the PhD that I do. So probably these are the way PhD is right for me or not. And I would also like to add, because I am from Bangladesh, your professional career, because all of us need money to survive, right? That also drives decision for PhD. Like, when you feel like, if I had a PhD, probably I would have, ended up earning more. So those are the things probably people think, I thought, or maybe my colleagues also thought before going into PhD. And when you talk about the challenges of PhD, I think there can be many challenges. I mean, when you are in the PhD program, the first and foremost challenge is to really understand that you don't know anything. That thing, I don't know. It's very easy when we are in a friendly conversation. We often, I'm assuming, we say like, I don't know anything and these and that. But it's in an academic career, it's not easy to admit to yourself that you don't know that.
Okay.
Hmm? So when you admit, so through different processes, you come to know about you actually don't know anything. That's the time when you start really doing your PhD. So those challenges associated with um, repeated failure, repeated, getting academically attacked by your colleagues and superiors and mentors all the time, challenged in every step. So that adds to the challenge of PhD. Furthermore, when you are in the middle of your PhD, probably you're writing it, working on your thesis or your, scientific papers that you want to submit. Really sticking to your guns. That means, continue writing. Doesn't matter, what comes in the way, whether you have cooked your next meal or not, or whether you have money in your account to go out for doing your grocery or not. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, sticking to your guns, keep on writing. That's also challenging. I'm sure many of you have had a buzzword, may sound like a cliche. It's called writer's block. Many people, experience that. So when you are doing your PhD, these sort of thing comes, right? And I think, again, based on my personal opinion, always, in a long, because PhD is a long process, it's a long program. You ended up comparing yourself with other when you see other people are doing PhD in 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, 2 year. That adds to your stress. So it is very important to be able to handle your own stress in the PhD program until you finish it. Every PhD is unique. Every experience is unique. Knowing that in your heart, not just to say it out loud. So I think that is also a challenging part of continuing a PhD. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, there can be so many challenges of doing PhD. I hope that partly answers your question.
Yeah, Dr. Tanvi. Yeah, Dr. Nusrat. Yeah, you want to say something?
Can I just add one line to
Yeah,
Tanvir
sure, sure,
Bhai?
sure, sure,
Is
sure.
one of the very big challenges is choosing the supervisor, because
Oh yeah,
that is
of
that
course.
that really sets your next 5 years of life, from physical to mental health to building your career.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think like the bottom line is either PhD can make you stronger or can break you totally. But it's entirely
No, sorry. Apologies for interrupting. I mean, I will say PhD always makes you stronger. But
okay.
in that process, it breaks you several times and builds you again. So
Like
it's
rebuilds.
like, yeah, it may sound like, again, it may sound like a cliche, but it's like I mean, phoenix, the bird phoenix, you rise up from the ashes
Yeah.
every time. Again, it may be like, very much romanticizing the PhD process, but it's what it is.
Yeah. I think yeah, we really had a fruitful decision. Thank you, everyone. But also we ran out of our time, so it was really lovely seeing you all. But we all had like so many other questions, so hopefully we can have another question answer sessions with all of you again to have like cover those questions and get the answers. But what we had today, I think it is really eye opening, and it actually put some real facts out in the light. So it's really helpful, and I think I would like to welcome all of you for joining us. And yeah, I will see you soon, maybe in another episodes of Research Cafe. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. And
Thank you,
good to see you,
everyone.
all of you.
Yeah, good to see all of
Likewise.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
take care. Bye
Bye.
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 So everyone, that was our session. I think it was helpful for every one of you, but we still have some questions left, and how we're going to cover is like we will make more episodes on the Research Cafe. And if you still have your questions, you can knock at, or like talk to our website. There's the link is down below, and also we can leave your message in the inbox of our Facebook group, and hopefully we'll able to answer you. And it was really nice seeing you all, and hopefully we'll come with more contents in the future. Stay with us and stay with Research Cafe. Thank you, everyone.